That's good. All right, we can let it run, it doesn't matter. How are you?
Good.
Congratulations for your article on the ITI Bulletin.
Thank you.
That's really good. And the last time as well.
Yeah.
That was part 2.
Yes, yeah.
Did you see that in the ITI Bulletin you had your article, Owen's article,
Yes.
and then Pavel?
Yes.
I don't know, Pavel.
Pavel is the one who wrote about meditation, transcendental meditation.
right.
And he's a graduate as well.
I actually copied that article for Alexandra because she's very stressed before exams.
Yeah.
So I said, this is, an alternative for you.
Yeah.
That's really quite good. And on the course, we have got one student who uses this, and he's Turkish.
Meditation.
And he uses meditation, but he's used it for years. And he's somebody who's quite anxious, and it works so well for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never seen anyone like him doing the exam as he did for Consec. He was like so focused, but no stress, and he performed so well.
Trying it. So yeah, you can tell me later what it is.
But if you are interested, this particular student is done it for years, and he actually took the Turkish tutor and the other Turkish students into a place where they do it. It's a kind of school for I don't know what it is, And they went there for one session. They wanted me to go there, but I was the kind of person. But yes, it sounds quite interesting. Yeah, that's really good. Okay. So basically, we've got some questions from Charlotte that she's put on the email, and they are quite similar to the questions that I had, in mind, and I had already sent you. I've got 3 kind of areas of my PhD that I just want to keep here. But if we just have an informal conversation as we do, then we can pick up and extract notes, and then Charlotte can actually write, the article. Okay, so we're here to talk about your company. Exciting! So, what is the name of your company? That's what Charlotte is asking.
Business Language Boutique.
So it's Business Language Boutique.
Yes.
I thought it was Language Boutique.
No, Business Language
Language
Boutique.
And this is because apart from the linguistic side of things, we offer other business-related services because each of us has a different business
And
background.
also business background because before we became linguists, we actually worked for companies, so we had different careers in a way.
Specialize in different ways, and this sort of services we can now be offering as a package together with language services to our clients.
So it's more than just languages.
Mm-hmm. So when you've
That's
got
the tagline. We should add that
Actually,
we're all into languages. Yes, that's really good. And do you have a website,
Yes.
or is there a place where we can find out about your company?
yes.
Yes, there is a website, simple for now, but yeah.
It's like a business card more than anything, but I think it covers the most important points.
And have you already started working on the brand of your company?
We started actually with some social media, with Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So that's the area we started. We identified also where we want to focus and what clients we want to target.
When we do our interpreting, we do it under BLB, but we haven't really done anything formally. So although we collaborate as BLB, we have not set up a partnership of any sort. So it's not a legal entity, if you like. Is that what you're asking?
I see what you mean. My question was a little bit different, but I like this kind of point that you're making. So officially, you've created this company, and who's responsible for this company for officially when you set it up?
3 of us.
The 3 of you, so you've
Yes.
registered.
No, that's the thing. We haven't registered it as a company. It's a collaboration for now.
Okay.
So we haven't done anything.
Like it's not on the company house.
It's not on company
registered.
house.
No, but it's more like a network because we're in touch all the time, even though we haven't seen each other for a long time. We always on WhatsApp, on different social media, or we're on Google Hangout, or just catch up face to face. So it's more like an ongoing cooperation.
And also it is whenever you go out and network or go to conferences or events, it's something that you can send later on. So for instance, if we meet someone, then we would send them, oh, this is our website, these are the services we can offer. I think it's more credible than just being an individual.
This is really interesting now for my PhD now, because I'll just ask you this question because basically did you know each other before joining the course?
No.
Right.
Under on.
Okay. When did you join the course? What year?
2013.
13. You were all part-time students.
Yes.
Okay. And you also did the ambassador scheme.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And now you are young professionals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Youngish.
And in my heart.
So, what influenced you, or first of all, what contributed to you coming together?
I think each of us should have a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Shall I?
Yeah, go
on
first.
I think there are a few kind of aspects that contributed to us coming together. First of all, I think we are very like-minded. Since the very beginning, I think in our language group we were very ambitious and we know where what we wanted to achieve, and we were working, practicing together, additional practice out of whatever we did at the university. We were preparing for exams together. We also did presentations for TIPE module or other modules together. So we actually spent a good chunk of time out of university practicing together, and we knew we can rely on each other. So if we were meeting every single week on Google Hangout to practice, each of us would have a speech prepared, each of us would interpret, so we would never let each other down. And I think this coming together and now working together or working in the booth together at the conferences is stemming back from the very early days at the university, because I always knew Kasia, no matter how busy she was, she would always be prepared for the classes. The same with Justyna, prepared in a booth, so whenever there was a mock conference, we would help each other. Each of us would have the terminology prepared, the subject studied, so we would always be able to rely on each other at the practice at the university, out of university, giving each other's peer feedback, constructive feedback as well. So it's not only that after university we decided, oh, let's get together. It was, I think, it was a long process that we got to know each other very well, I think.
And this is why it was then kind of natural that we stuck together, if you know what I mean. It's because over the 2 years, because we did so much together, we became friends as well. We've got lots in common, similar working values, but also, values in life overall. So I don't know if it's the age thing, maybe, because
I think it's just kind of the approach to work as well, and I think all of us were quite time poor because we all had our families, friends, interests, jobs, and we really didn't want to waste any time, and we were never wasting each other's time, and we always kind of found the most efficient ways of working together. So it was also for pragmatic reasons, because if you needed to get something done or to prepare, I just knew if I was working with Justyna and Eva, it would be just completely pain-free and I could rely on them.
And also on an emotional level, we've been through ups and downs on different times. So we were able to kind of coach and push each other when somebody had a weaker moment. We knew how to motivate them. So that really helped as well throughout the studies. We always had each other's back. But also building, now talking about it, you could actually sum up that the way that the course is designed, it actually encourages collaboration between students. I think it's very difficult, and it would be very difficult to have to work with someone who I wouldn't get along with, or who wouldn't have similar standards. I think it would be the course would be much more difficult if I had to do that. So, there's so much out of school practice and out of school preparation and projects, out of the class time, you know what I mean, out of the university time, that you can't help but collaborate with someone.
But I agree with you. I think the course also encourages people to do that collaboration, to work with other colleagues, and obviously you choose along the way who you are working with.
You could have been 3 Polish students of fairly the same age with similar value, but you could have been competing against each other.
No.
Well,
That's
I mean,
really
we could have,
because-
if we were different people, we could have.
Yeah.
But
So-
as Justyna said, we had wobbles and weaker moments because we we all have incredibly busy lives, and sometimes it was just overwhelming, and it didn't go well in the booth, and you were just thinking, what am I doing? I'm just spending all this money, I will never get any conference work anyway. So we were kind of able to support
But
each other.
if you're three, I've got two sisters, we're three, and it's often 2 + 1. So for example, could we say that I've got a group of 3, I'm practicing together with 3, and then one person one day doesn't have a good day, and I'd say, oh, that's not worth it. Okay, I'm going to stick to the other one.
Oh, no,
Okay,
no.
so what made you stay together, the 3 of you, and not do that?
I think we can be quite honest with each other. There was a wobbly moment when we started working as BLB, and then we had the courage to actually sit on it for a while, and then actually bring the topic up and discuss it and say, okay, listen, this is not working. We need to find a different way to do this. So I don't know, do you call it maturity, or maybe professional background that would teach you how to approach things in a
Honesty,
working
you're talking a
environment?
lot about honesty.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just,
Transparency, I don't know.
I think apart from the factors that we mentioned, it's also a personality factor that plays a big part in it, I think.
Because you seem to trust each other quite a lot. So what is at the base of this trust? I understand that you talked a lot about watching each other's back, so you're quite protective of each other, also if you care for each other.
Yeah, we
quite a
do.
lot,
We're
but-
friends at this point. We're also friends. What made that?
I don't know. I think it's
How do you build-
time. You build that trust. Like with clients,
situation.
a different situation. You see how people react or behave in certain situations. So instead of stabbing you, they will actually, give you a hand and help you out. And I think some of us, whenever we had troubles, we would actually sit down and talk about it
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
But there was good times, and we could always, we always enjoyed the success of the other person. So that's important, I think, as well, because of course there are times where Kasia, for example, recently she's received a lot of work for her German, and I'm really genuinely happy
exactly.
for her, and I'm not thinking, I'm not going to invite her to the booth because she has so much, it's not like that.
But I think there is something else about it. In a way, we are very similar, but then we've got different skills, and we are kind of different. I think we are 3 of us are very different.
We are quite different.
Because
Yes,
each of
and
us has got a lot of advantages. I mean, like Kasia has got different language combination that I have. Justina has different previous background, and she's offering more services than I could offer. So I don't know. It's as Justina said, we are happy for Kasia to be going tomorrow for a conference, for instance, and then we would be all tell us the feedback. How did it go?
What did you learn?
What did you learn? So we would
Yes,
still.
and also whenever for example, one of us has an actual conference job, we always ask each other, so how was it? And rather than getting this glossy view, it was fantastic. It was fabulous.
I was amazed.
I was amazed.
Oh, it's amazing. No, it's actually like, oh yes, it went well, but I had this real wobble, and we really tell each other in detail how we coped under pressure and how we could actually approach it better, and also the industry tips, because whenever you interpret with someone, especially a more experienced person, you just pick up some advice, and we just always kind of share it and pass it on.
So this is something you won't get in any networking event for
This level of
interpreting.
honesty.
I don't think you'll get that much insight. So we learn from our own experiences, but then we have a first-hand account of my colleagues' experience. So that's like a triple learning happening every time.
And also, especially when you're going for first conferences, after your graduation, and if you go with that person, it's really
comforting, isn't
it's
it?
comforting. You know that person will write down the numbers. I think when we went to Brussels, we were really stressed because it was Brussels, and I remember Justina saying, "Oh, it's like giving birth. You go into the booth and you cannot." You just have to crack on.
You have to go through it, right? You can't stop halfway, can you?
So it was so funny that I think I just laughed and straight away you were so relaxed in a way, So yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we were in Norwich together. That was quite shortly after graduation as
Yes,
well. We
it
just
was.
said, okay, it's teamwork. It's not like we interpreting individually. We're just delivering a team effort, and really had all the
Communication.
sticky notes just
Yeah,
everywhere.
communication. Yeah, so it's
Sharing of notes.
and obviously I don't want to be naming and shaming because that's not how I am and who I am. But I actually spoke to some colleagues from other universities because obviously we don't know what's happening at other universities. And I think here we've got a very strong booth etiquette.
Yes.
I think this is something that is actually amazing and differentiates London Met, I think, because we do rely on our colleagues and our colleagues don't let us down.
Yeah, and I worked with an experienced interpreter, and doing what we did, preparing glossaries, sharing links about the topic, and I received a genuine thanks and an appreciation of what I did. And she said, you don't see that, especially with more seasoned interpreters. Nobody really cares, you just come in on a day and that's it. And I don't know what I'm going to be like in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
But that booth etiquette and that cooperation, that teamwork in the booth, I think this is something we got from the university, definitely, from the course.
And do you think that as a result of this experience of the sharing, you've got a different connection with this person who worked with you in the booth that you didn't know before?
Yes, well, I mean, I knew her before.
Oh, right.
I'd known her beforehand, but, I prepared and I shared my materials and set up a Google Drive folder and encouraged her to contribute. She didn't have the time, so she didn't. But, she felt grateful nonetheless. So, yes, it did leave a good impression. The very preparation itself, it made a good impression, I think. So it is helpful in the professional world, that side of the course. I think.
And in your transition from being a student to being a young professional, what was the role that the ambassador scheme played for you? How did that contribute, help you or not help you? What did it do? Did it do something for you or not?
I must say that for me personally, because I was an ambassador but slightly different than you were, because I don't live in London, I organized Google Hangout sessions for 2 students, and it was almost like continuation of our Google Hangout practice, because we've done it before, so I knew exactly what I wanted and how I wanted. Obviously I would take into consideration what the students wanted or the subjects, but it gave me for sure a great foundation for now whenever I had the tutorials into Polish with Alexandra. It did help me a lot, that ambassador's experience, to be able to give the peer feedback and maybe use my experience to help them or give them some tips that helped me. And obviously you, with the 2 students I did have, I have also close relations with them because I've known them and I knew that they were preparing themselves, that they did work well. So you also kind of widen your circle of people professional people you could trust. So if once I am asked at the conference and it is with Spanish, I will know that I can ask, for instance, Slav to join me, and I would not hesitate to ask him because I know that he works very well.
So again, you mentioned the word trust.
Trust.
I think you've established some trust, with them.
And I think this is crucial. In this job, the trust is so crucial. And it's your colleagues at the end of the day that give you work as well.
Yes, definitely.
But the fact that you rely on your booth partner. Maybe not every interpreter does. If you're not trained the way we are, maybe they don't rely on them that much.
We'll also notice that in a lot of universities, the booths are not for 2 people. They are just for 1 person, so there are lots of partitions, so you're by yourself in the booth.
They don't know how
Or
to.
the booths are very, very small as well, so you don't really stay in the booth as such.
Yeah,
Just
so
different.
So I don't know, that trust factor and the fact that you can rely on someone and you know how they work. This is very important. But the ambassador scheme for me, it was prolongation of the university. So it was kind of grounding my skills even more, you know, like a year extra of practice of research over around the topics that were being covered and the topics that we then prepared for the advanced practice. So, but in terms of network or yes, I know I know the Polish students, but I don't think I would be able to relate to other languages that much. I don't feel like I have had a opportunity to meet
I think
them.
it was also a little bit of an age issue because there were some very young students. And I
Last
think
year
they
was
had-
also quite
they had
particular.
completely different lives,
Yes,
and
exactly.
they just do other things after university.
But for you as an ambassador, because obviously when you are a student on the course, you know who you are, you're a student. But once the course finishes, you know who you are, you're a graduate.
You then share your knowledge.
But then, who are you? You know, you've got that gap in between, you know, being a graduate and being a young professional. And it's a little bit uncertain. So, was the ambassador scheme, something that helped you move, or you know, from one identity to the next?
I didn't have any problem with identity. I don't know. I knew that I graduated and I don't have the pressure of exams, but it was a good way to keep in touch with everyone and maybe to share your experience or share your worries or some.
It's more of a network
yeah,
and practicing.
But then the experience and the exchange of views that you have is a bit superficial. I would still go back to what we have, you know, that first-hand, honest experience. Because no matter, you know, it's like a networking event. You know, everybody tries to make a good impression and probably they tell you the truth, but not exactly how it should be. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't quite take that.
I think depends on the person.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously when we are sitting here at the table, 20 of us, obviously nobody's say that I went to that conference and it didn't go very well. But then probably if you meet up with them for coffee, it's different maybe.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends
as
on the
well.
person because I got some people that told me, I think, an honest account.
Okay.
So outside of the sessions, I'm not talking about the advanced classes, but you know, outside of this formal teaching, did you have, you know, an informal networking experience with the other ambassadors? Did you feel that they were part of
With
the network?
ambassadors or the students at the
Ambassadors, just the ambassador. I'm not so much interested in the
I
students.
think, you know, whenever we went to some CPD,
But I know before you start talking about it, I think that us being part-time students played a big part because we bonded better with the first year and not with the second, and then we had to do ambassador scheme with the second year. So I think this played a very big part in that.
I agree.
Because I, to be honest, I don't remember the names of the people who were on the course in the second year, but I can remember the people
Yes,
from
and
the
at
first year
least
because we spent more time.
Superficially, I'm kind
Yeah.
of in touch with quite a few people.
Yeah.
Like I had a conversation with Rodrigo, for example, I think on Facebook about, I don't know, Brexit, something unrelated, but or Natalia and Natalia contacted me and Daniela about
But
the
that's the
German
first
job.
year.
That's the
And
first
Rodrigo
year,
is
that's
the
the first
second
one.
year.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, but you know, with some, at least, you know, we've
Yeah.
got these kind of at least random or occasional exchanges.
Yeah, but you.
Saying that, you remember whenever we went for like AIC or LinkedIn or
Yeah,
some
we see
other
each other.
CPDs, we see each other and, you know, you do recognize the face and it is
Yeah.
nice to say, oh, you know, we studied at London Met.
Yes.
But I personally didn't, I would love to have done that, but I didn't go out even for like a drink or anything like that much because I
I've never
was
managed to
No,
drink,
I was-
not because
yeah.
I didn't want
So
to.
for
Yeah.
you, the three of you, you know, the bond that you had was really at the very heart of this learning experience, the trust, the community, and everything. It was very much, you know, you had formed your little core group of language specific, really.
Yes.
You know, as students, ambassadors, you know, friends, you know, as well, and right from the beginning. Okay, that's interesting. I'm looking at the questions from Charlotte. So, what is the main purpose of the company? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, actually, Eva came forward and said, "Why don't we do something together?" I think it was when we were talking about, because you took that coaching.
Oh yeah, I had my mentor.
You had your mentor, and I think it stemmed from that. Did it?
I'm not sure,
You're not
but
sure.
I thought it would be better to fight, together than on an individual basis. And also, it's good because when you're on holidays, there is somebody who can do the job. I think I was going to Egypt and I had an urgent assignment, and I think at that time you were available, Justyna. So somebody covered me whilst I was on my holidays, and that's.
And you can rest assured.
Yes, and you don't want to be working on your holidays. From time to time, you want to switch off. So I think that's how it came out.
And also, you don't want your colleague to steal your client, so you're actually recommending a colleague, and you can trust a colleague, and especially if it is an existing client.
Yes. Yes.
So you had a coach, you had the idea,
mentor,
how did this come up? 3 of us together. I need somebody for my holiday, but that could have been a one-off.
No. It was long before. I'm not sure actually what was exactly the point. It was after we graduated.
It was after you graduated, and you said, I remember you said something like, let's work like associates.
Like business associates.
Business associates, and from there.
And then we needed a name, and I think Kasia came up with the boutique idea. So boutique, as in you can choose what you
can mix. Because I said to put something more than the languages, so that we can offer a full package. Just because I've got some services, So.
And I think in a way it was just having like a visual front to what we're doing anyway. So because we were just doing it informally, but this would be really just advertising what we do between the 3 of us, just by having a website and some visibility.
Presence.
Presence.
Okay, and so it's not a registered company; it's a partnership. Would you describe it as partnership?
It is,
Collaboration, you said?
Collaboration.
The cooperative is now a very
fashionable right now. Yeah. And then you operate. So, for example, if you've got an interpreting assignment tomorrow, could you say that this comes under you, Kasia, or does it come straight away under the business language boutique?
Under our individual names.
It would probably depend because so far it was under our individual names. There was this client that went through you, so Justyna invoiced the client, and then we've done the re-invoice.
When you invoice a client, you're not invoicing as the boutique.
Just because we are still looking into what is the best entity for us.
Okay.
Because this is just formality really. And it takes time, of course, to sell something as BLB, to sell the whole package, and to advertise it, and we're still in the process. So for now, we work as BLB, but formally.
So your accounts are personal. Whoever does what is personal. This is quite interesting. Yes.
But for instance, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, I sent the language show. They are now announcing slots for speaking sessions, and I said, why don't we go as BLB?
So that's what we're going to discuss afterwards. And a former colleague approached me about a translation or localization project, and I immediately sent him a BLB link actually, and saying it's not just me, I actually have a company.
But that's great. We talked about it in the TP module yesterday, that actually you could become the CEO of your company, and you're not just an interpreter. Suddenly, you are somebody with a different identity. And
I don't think either of us would describe herself as just an interpreter or a linguist. I think we both have hopefully some business skills. So I think that's another factor that
you managed to merge your existing pre-course skills to interpreting as well. I really like the idea that even though you're not yet sure about the business entity you want to select for your own existence, it didn't stop you from starting, and you use social media and to actually give yourself an identity, and still you operate as yourself, but you've actually kept this the idea that you are a business. So it's a kind of maturing process, isn't it? It's not a maturing process when you stay at home and you think maybe I should do this or that. you are
We
working
just went for
through
it.
this. Yeah, that's great.
I think it's just kind of the unique, the famous unique selling point, because whenever I pitch my services, I always say I'm well networked, and I'm not just saying it, I'm able to prove it as well. So
Yeah.
The evidence is
Yeah.
visible.
And to a potential client is also reassuring, because if you as a freelance can't do anything, can't do something, you will be able to recommend someone. You know, if somebody asks me to organize an event, I wouldn't go for it because I'm not the specialist, but I know someone who is.
Yeah.
And yeah, similarly on any networking event, I say, you know, I'm this, but I collaborate with my colleagues, associates, and we provide different services, and that. That makes you look like a company, doesn't it? You,
Yeah, definitely.
To the client,
Yes.
they look at you as a company. But I also think that it happened very naturally to us, but it's stirring a lot of interest in the
Attention.
community and attention. When the ITI article was published, I received some comments from people, you know, and a lot of interest about that way of working, because ultimately, you know, you may work with a colleague, or you know, have a trusted one, but I don't know if there are any similar companies like ours. And people were writing to me, as you write, you know, there's so much competition, everybody is looking to have their piece of the pie rather than share it, and in the long run it's rather about sharing than just keeping things to yourself.
So you mentioned competition. Would you describe the interpreting market as competitive?
Yes, I think
very,
it is.
very.
So you were in different businesses before. How does this level of competition compare to your previous working environment?
I was working as an interpreter before, but mainly public service, and that was very competitive. And this one is as well.
Yeah. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, most of the time, it's all about the money. The money that the client is willing to pay or not willing to pay. So, you know, if you can keep your costs down.
And it seems to me that you went through a learning process together where you know, during the learning process you tend to be quite exposed. And you said, you know, you were here, you were there for each other when you were not feeling so good about yourself, you know. I think this kind of partnership may be a little bit different from maybe you go to a conference, you meet 3 other interpreters, and you say, okay, let's try to come together and...
Yeah, I think it's a stronger bond.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
foundation is...
But now talking about it, I think that doing it now, thinking about it, we are actually risking our friendship, because should anything go wrong on the business front, it will be very difficult to then remain friends, I think. So we better make it work.
It cannot go wrong.
No, I can't see it happening.
Anything I do, it never goes wrong, so it cannot go wrong.
Okay, I'll stick to you.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going through the questions here. Jenna, I need to come together to make this idea happen. Okay. Did the course, your lectures play any part in helping you? And if so, how? So we talked about collaboration and everything.
Encouraging for extra practice.
So you talked about the design of the course, that you were forced to collaborate.
It's very
outside of the
collaborative
teaching.
Yes,
course, and that
yes.
was emphasized all the time.
I must say it's completely different than my degree in Poland.
Yeah, and that's something we had to learn as
yes,
well.
we
Hard
did.
way, we almost failed the first presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
The requirements and the way
Yeah.
it's conducted.
And obviously we've got Michelle at the center of all this process, you know, a very unique person, I would say, as well. I think that's not for the, but I think she's really, again, age, practice, experience, and at the same time there's a lot of looking after each other in this relationship as well with Michelle. I think it's, when I see all of you together, I cannot think about Polish without thinking about Michelle.
Yes.
basically,
Oh yeah,
as
of
well.
course.
Yes.
So yes, I think that she was quite at the center of this.
Well, with her, I think there's a lot of respect involved as well.
Admiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, with Michelle, it's yet another type
Oh,
of a
definitely.
relationship.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, yes, absolutely. But I think she's the kind of person who also like to bring you together and to make you talk to each other and to be demanding and have these high standards as well. You know, it's pretty good. Okay. And then the sixth question is, can you send me some photos I can use for the website? It's
Oh,
going to be
yes,
the three of you
loads.
together at work or
Loads.
for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
in action.
We can.
Fantastic. For me, these questions have been done, so I'm quite happy. But is there anything you would like? Is there anything else you would like to add? I'm not sure.
I think what's really important in any kind of business relationship or any kind of professional career is the many factors like qualification, education, but I think the personal dimension and the human dimension is very important, and you just always have to remember you're actually a human and you have to form honest human bonds. So it's business, but it's not just business. It's about people, really.
And on my PhD, I'm looking quite a lot at informal and formal learning spaces, environment, but also visible and non-visible learning, or what we call invisible learning. You know, what is not measured by the course as well. You know, is there a special aspect of your maybe not formal or invisible world? You know, that was important to you and had an impact on who you have become as young professionals.
Can you define the non-visible?
Yeah. So for example, you talked about trust and the way you were able to really establish this trust. A lot of the things we mentioned were not really visible. For example, it's a lot of things that you feel, or it's not something that you get a mark for. You know, it's
Called working in a booth. You're not
and you,
assessed how well you're working with a booth partner.
yes, and at the same time you mentioned, when I'm not feeling well today, well, I know that somebody else, instead of stabbing me in the back, you know, is actually there to hold my hand or to, you know, to give me some support. You know. So is there any aspect of that, you know, that you can maybe think about that we haven't talked about, which would emphasize, you know, this tie, this bond that you've got with each other, and which made you stronger professionals in a sense?
It can be
Stronger friends?
nationality as well, I think.
Mhm.
It can be determined by culture and by
Yeah.
the values that you are imposed to in the country. But then you were brought up in
Yeah.
Germany, but in a
Yeah.
Polish family. So.
Yes.
So maybe not. But I
also here on the course there are so many languages, so you've got little islands of languages and cultures, and maybe this brings you together. I don't know.
Because I don't know. It's
Because you had
it's
just